And thank you for taking the time. It's an absolute pleasure, not just for me, but for the whole team. So we know each other quite well, I would say. We've met first on Innovation Explorer when you were visiting in Sofia, and you were part of the conference. And now we've spoken a few times in the past couple of days. But first, just for the people that don't know Philippe, I'm really immensely excited to present him to you. This is Philippe Boulanger. He started his career as an entrepreneur while he was doing his while he was a PhD student for the IBM Research Center. Later on, he was recruited by Sony, where he worked on many projects, such as launching the Vaio laptops and also the robot dog Aibo. He accepted the position of Chief Technical Officer of New Post Group, and also founded and manages New Post Labs. Philippe is a partner at Sensei Ventures, and as of now, he shares his insight, experience, and knowledge as a professional speaker. He's currently a president of the French Professional Speakers Association, and he has just joined Speakers for Earth.org, where he fights for the future of our planet by increasing awareness about climate change. Please welcome the Innovation Evangelist, now awarded the Virtual Presenter certification by the largest speaker bureau in the US, Phillipe Boulanger. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Vladislav. We are now in 2061. A few weeks ago, I celebrated my 100th birthday. The gifts have been amazing. Thanks to regenerative technologies, I was able to upgrade from a 50-year-old body to this younger, fitter 40-year-old body. Okay, if you've got good eyes, we can negotiate. Let's say 45, okay? Anyhow, it was a gift for her friend, and it feels great, actually, for both of us, she jokes. You would think that this gift alone would be the highlight of the day, but you would be mistaken. For a geek like me, the coolest gift certificate for my next brain implant. With so many capabilities to choose from, I have been doing the whole with you which one I have chosen later in this talk. In the last few decades, augmenting the human has been part of the global acceleration. And the speed of change we see today is the slowest speed of change you will see for the rest of your lives. Yes, augmenting the human is part of the global acceleration. I repeat, the speed of we see today is the slowest speed of change you will see for the rest of our lives. And this will be holding true every single day. So for those of you in my audience today, without the insight afforded me by my considerable chronological age, allow me to tell you the story of how we got there. We can trace the genesis of brain augmentation back to 2016, when a number of startups became highly visible in the field of brain hacking and brain augmentation. One of them, Neuralink, funded by Elon Musk, Tesla, SpaceX. Yeah. It began with one simple observation, that the interface between our brain and our computers was highly inefficient. Elon dared to imagine that what might be possible if we were not limited by our typing speed and screen visibility. Thanks to Neuralink's neural lace, world's first brain implant, we would all soon learn the answer. In 2020, we witnessed a demonstration of this remarkable advancement implanted into pigs. On screen, we saw live signals from the pig's Neuralink device as the pig rooted around in some hay. But it would take 8 months for Neuralink to provide its first products for humans. Of course, the first batch was only available to experts in artificial intelligence, robotics, biology, and neuroscience. From this new high-speed interface, those experts got incredible leverage to design faster and more affordable deployment methods for the brain implant. This would have been impossible without robotics and artificial intelligence. In fact, as the Innovation Evangelist, I was the first speaker to introduce artificial intelligence into every one of my talks. It was an exciting time to be alive at the intersection of man and machines. By 2032, Neuralink was finally ready for consumer use. However, this was the moment that Elon Musk chooses to fly to Mars. Aware that he might not come back, he sold Neuralink to the internet giant Amazon, guaranteeing its completion. When the product was launched under the name Firebrain 1.0, it takes less than 2 minutes to deploy in the brain, using, again, artificial intelligence and nanobots. What had initially taken a few hours, 2 minutes at that point. As a subject matter expert on innovation, I applied successfully to be one of the first customers, to be my first of many brain augmentation, bumping my capacities big time, and I can tell you I needed it. In 2032, Apple, the Californian brand famous for its smartphones and computers, announced its intention to enter the market. For 10 years, they'd been working secretly on this project, a project so important that they dropped their autonomous car development to devote most of their R&D efforts that would become the iBrain you know today. In 2040, many brain-computer interfaces had become so good that the screens began to disappear. Augmented reality is no longer done through any external devices like glasses or smartphones. We see instead on the screen of our minds the combination of our vision and image created by the implant. Smartphones and computer manufacturers were aggressively entering this new market. It was a huge paradigm shift in the user experience. And of course, no more screens for me, almost no more screens. It's now all inside. Acceleration in all aspects of my life. This was a pivot point. The creation of a new media whose interactivity was absolute. And every time a new media or a new way of communicating appears, the race to exploit it follows. All movies and games were remastered for this new format. And with creativity at full speed, some incredible excesses as well. So for those who have known YouPorn 40 years ago, there was no providing, shall we say, a more personal experience. 2045 brought us a significant evolution in the technology, but also in vice. The latest implants not only captured variations in hormone levels, but could also variations in those levels. Yes, they could also cause variations in those levels. A new grail was at hand in the realm of consumer persuasion. Beyond the rendering of virtual images and sounds, the media ecosystem became focused on capturing points of attention, capturing emotions. The first step was to capture changes in hormone levels when media is being used. From there, the implant could play back a 3D video track, a 3D sound track, a sensory track for touch, and another one for taste, and even a track for emotions. The emotion tracks could then be interpreted by the implant, variations of hormones unique to the individual, therefore recreating specific emotions, complete with 3D soundtrack, implements of Dolby, company that never stopped innovating in sound technologies. In short, companies could now combine the production of these hormones with the vision of their products and would feel strongly tempted to buy it because we liked it. There are still those amongst us who believe political parties may have combined of these hormones with the vision of a politician to get us to start agreeing with these ideas. It's never been proven. Yeah. Of course, hackers instantly seized this incredible opportunity to create malware and viruses. In the dark cloud, a hack to provoke the compulsive purchase of a product or a service was available to anyone who could afford it. So auctions, one could bid for a chance to make a particular person desire them. With this virus, as soon as the person in question sees you, sees a presentation of you, voice, then testosterone, oxytocin, and luliberine levels are boosted. The person will fantasize about you. Very seriously, you just have to pick up. Wow. Another popular hack born in the dark cloud, the iDrug app. Imagine triggering the same effects as a drug, cocaine, heroin, joint, or whatever, without taking the real substance, virtual drugs. At first, it was hoped that this might be a way out of the death spiral of addiction. All the feel good with none of the physical repercussions. Instead, people became more quickly addicted than with the real thing, a catastrophe. So the impact of all this to society was staggering. Like some diabolical hypnosis to the power of 10, you could lose control of your free will completely if your system became infected with one of these new viruses. Just imagine finding yourself suddenly overcome with from transferring all your financial assets to an unknown person. And yes, it happened to a few tens of thousands of victims in June 2045. Yeah. Fortunately, to deal with these abuses, a new firewall for implants was quickly created. It allowed us to select which applications or services could have the right to read or generate emotions, to touch hormones or other neurotransmitters. The default setting being a total lock. Of course, it was not long before governments began asking implant manufacturers for backdoor access to capture and generate emotions, bypassing the firewall. On the surface, their motives seemed reasonable, a means of restoring order when violence erupts. Wouldn't having the ability to hack the neural implant of suspected terrorists lead to a safer world? The ethical outcry was loud. In the wrong hands, how long before crowd control and crime prevention turned into mindlessly obedient soldiers, bending the vote in a certain way, or outright suppression of any group who might oppose a sitting government. There were televised hearings, protests, and boycotts until ultimately manufacturers refused. And that continues to this day, officially at least. There was a talk at the time of outlawing or at least strictly limiting brain implantation, neural implantation. And then manufacturers tempted us with one word: memory. It began with an exploration of how resolving the imperfection of our standard working memory could improve our lives. To illustrate the problem, I'll ask those of you not currently outfitted with any augmentation technology to participate using the chat. So let's go through a live experiment right now. Here are a few words. I'm asking you to focus on the screen and memorize as many words as you can in 10 seconds. So please memorize as many words as you can in 10 seconds. Okay. So counting off on your fingers, and please go in the chat. How many words can you remember? Please write in the chat. They say the number of words, not the words by themselves. Oh, I see people with a very, very good memory. Okay, so if you remember the word burger, please write yes in the chat. If you remember the word fries, please write yes in the chat. If you remember the word food, please write yes in the chat. If you remember the word pizza, please write yes in the chat. Okay, well, you did great. You did great. So, yes, for some of you, you're right, there is no food in the words that were selected. Still, your brain was able to mix it with what you had. So typically, this is something that is happening because we forget things, we transform them, we interpret them, we fill in the blanks. Have you ever had a disagreement with someone about the memory of an event to the point where it seemed like you had not experienced the same event? Those of you those of you in a relationship know exactly what I'm talking about, right? I got carjacked once, a long time ago, when cars were still personal property. It was an event that I will never forget. Thankfully, I was with a colleague when it happened. Just 10 minutes after the event, while we were interviewed by the police, I was sure and I declared that my main aggressor had a knife, while my colleague was convinced the aggressor had a gun. The imperfection of memory on that day caused me to question everything I experienced after. Well, the imperfection of my memory, but the imperfection of the memory of my colleague as well. Then in 2056, brain implants started to capture and back up in the cloud in real time our 5 senses and our emotions. Those of us augmented could now do a personal replay at will. No more memory problems, and the world became excited again about augmenting the human. I think you will agree that the greatest impact has been on our justice systems. Investigations accelerated by a factor of 1,000 at least. Victims, witnesses, even suspects are not longer required to tell their stories. They just have to share their personal recording of the event. Acceleration. At least in 2061, implants come with an app store. I'm personally excited by skill boosting apps. And here is what I have done on it actually. Reading micro expressions. I can read volumes from the facial expressions of the person in front of me. Here, I can tell you that this person is fascinated by my talk, while this other one is not impressed. And this was a test. Actually, I guess that you are fascinated as well, but you are already thinking about lunch, right? Negotiation. It gives me the tips and insights in real time to negotiate the best deal, whatever the subject, thanks to the negotiation artificial intelligence. This is how I got on this virtual stage today. And thanks as well to another skill booster, public speaking, that I downloaded a while ago. With this skill, no more fear of expressing myself in front of 200,000 or 200,000 people. As you might have guessed, I most enjoy the storytelling part of that skill. Linguistic translation in all languages. It's an offline skill for the 10 most spoken languages in the world and online for others, so you need to be connected. Ni hao, namaste, shalom, moshi moshi. Yeah, okay, whatever. I haven't purchased the Bulgarian language for this event because I was asked to speak in English. Still, I'm providing you with real-time Bulgarian translation broadcasted directly from my brain implant. So I hope you like it. Identification. It had always struggled. I had always struggled to remember the names of people. This created an uncomfortable situation when somebody would come to me with a very nice smile and say, "Hello, Philippe," and my memory would go completely blank. Who is that person? Now, I instantly recognize everyone I've met at least once and the history of my relationship with that person as well. It really changed my life and boosted my confidence. Humor and repartee. That's for those who don't know how to tell jokes, like me. Yeah, I have never been good at jokes. Well, it has been never been so fast, so easy to buy a new skill that will transform your life. Acceleration. But remember, downloading a new skill is not enough. To get the full benefit of the skill, you have to practice to increase the strength of your neural pathways. If you don't practice, the skill will fade away and you will need to refresh it, to update it. That is what has likely happened with me and my humor and repartee app. Yeah. So let's talk now about the most popular application, BrainBook, available on all app stores of all implants. BrainBook is a social network that has taken advantage of events and memory sharing capability. You can live a concert through the eyes, the senses, and the emotions of your friends, broadcasting from their implant on the spot. Concert or whatever life event, by the way, could be even very personal events. And BrainBook has skyrocketed thanks to the real life function. If you meet in real life a person with matching values, you just have to touch each other. For example, with a handshake. to automatically exchange selected ideas, values, thoughts, memories, emotions. This feature has resulted in incredible success for BrainBook. 2 billion users in just 30 days, the fastest growth ever for an application acceleration. And here is a growth recipe. Of course, it is personal. BrainBook also lets you share, if you wish, your most secret thoughts and fantasies when you meet matching people. With a single touch, you know how well you fit and can exchange upfront the duration of relationship each is seeking. 1 hour, 1 night, or a lifetime? Time saved and fewer hearts broken. Dating accelerated. Again, augmenting the human is part of the global acceleration. The speed of change we see today is the slowest speed of change you will see for the rest of our lives. At the very beginning of this talk, I promised to reveal you the details of the new brain implant I have chosen for my birthday. But first, I want to leave with what I truly believe is the most powerful lesson of this history. The greatest accelerant in the universe is crisis, if you know how to leverage it. Some of you may have heard of the great crisis we had in 2020. Some of you may have lived it if you have been using regenerative technologies like me. Everything we talked about today has its roots in the choices made by businesses in the midst of that moment. Those that thrive did so against extraordinary opposition, not from the virus, not from the economic hardships in this wake, but from the greatest enemy of innovation known in the human history, a fixed human mindset. To illustrate this, let's make another experiment using the chat. I'm going to ask you a very easy question, and you've got already the answer. You are going to answer instantly in the chat, right? Which mouse walks on 2 legs? Please answer in the chat. Okay. Which mouse walks on 2 legs? Mickey Mouse. Yes, of course, Mickey. Of course. Okay. Definitely. Definitely Mickey Mouse. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you another very easy questions, and you still have the answer instantly. Okay. Which duck walks on 2 legs? Okay, in the chat, please answer. I'm going to see very quickly who has been augmented. Thank you, Fatma. Okay, Stanislav. Okay. I see that Stanislav have been augmented. Yes, it's not Donald Duck, even if it was the first thing that came to your mind. It's all the ducks. So what happened here? Well, I framed you in a box with an image and the first question. You didn't get out of the box at the second question. I formatted you in only a few seconds. Now, imagine that you have been working for a few years in a given company in operations with very well-defined processes. Your box is very solid. Most likely, nobody is allowed to defy the status quo unless there is a culture of innovation in that company. A culture in which everyone can experiment with new ideas in a state of constant learning, provided that we take care of running operations. a culture in which we protect those who expand the box for the entire team, for the entire company. A culture in which we balance short-term execution and a vision driving innovation. The companies that not only survived, but realized the biggest gains in the wake of 2020 did just that. They prioritized and supported innovation against formatting, against reason, against reflex, often in the face of fear. While most companies gave into fear, cutting expenses and sidelining innovation, hoping to just ride out of the storm, the wiser few embraced the wealth of opportunity inherent in every crisis and gave us the lesson I now give to you. You have nothing to fear from the future because you can create it if you dare. So, the brain implant I have chosen? Well, it appears that we are running a little bit out of time. So just follow me on BrainBook and you can download all the details in a nanosecond. I look forward to seeing you again, remembering your names and entertaining you with my witty repartee. Thank you.